Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Nick Davenport, aka Mr. Mental Muscle. And we're back on the Mental Breakdown channel. Now, let's talk about opposites. You've probably heard the term opposites attract. Now, when it comes to dating and relationships, this used to be the old adage, finding someone who's different, but you come together as one. Now, there has been some research show that this can be true, but there's also competing research that says that maybe similar is better, but it may be dictated by what is the intent of the relationship or what are you trying to form. Now, where I'm going with this is there's a new movie with Lauren London and Jonah Hill, and it's about a couple that may seem incompatible on paper or just the surface in general. And they're black and white, Jewish, Muslim. There's a lot of differences. And the whole movie is about competing on, can it work? Does it make sense? Now, that's not what we want to get too much into, but I want to get into the point of when do opposites make sense and when do similarities make sense? Now, there's something called the self-expansion model by Aaron and his associates. Now, it found that in this theory is in looking for a relationship, we want to expand on oneself. That could be resources, that could be hobbies, interests, different schools of thoughts and philosophies. So it can go many ways. And when you think about your relationships in the past or even right now, what did that partner bring to the table that made you feel better as yourself and as a whole as a relationship? Because it does happen, right? Some people do it more for resources like monetary reasons, social status. So they date up or find someone, they call that hypergamy, right? Or they do it because they want to get in a social circle that may expand on what they want to learn and endeavor on. Now, the point of all this is a lot of people are getting a lot of backlash to Jonah Hill and Lauren London saying they didn't look like a realistic couple. Now, this can be chalked up to the fact that it's not her usual type in real life because she was with the late great Nipsey Hussle, and he obviously doesn't fit the phenotype or the description of what Nipsey Hussle was. Jonah Hill, he's Jewish, he's a little shorter and stockier. Nipsey Hussle is very tall. He's a former gang member, turned activist, turned mogul, turned rapper, and done a lot of good things for his community, right? So this doesn't really go in line with what we know in the real world. And that probably could influence why people think this because it's a movie, right? And her job is to be an actor. But I can understand because even in the movie, I watched it and I saw there wasn't a lot of chemistry. And London, even herself, said it didn't really seem believable. And they even CGI'd their faces to look like a kiss because she may not have been ready. And that's a whole other topic, right? The stages of grief. We can do that on another video. But the point is, does that mean that it couldn't have worked in real life? So getting back to the self-expansion theory model, now, let's look at the movie, for example. She comes from a black household that's very ingrained in their culture, their roots. Eddie Murphy even plays her father, Nia Long plays her mother, and they're also part of the Nation of Islam. So their beliefs and views are very entrenched in that. Now, when we talk about self expansion, where were their differences? What were their similarities? Jonah Hill came from a Jewish background. His parents, played by Julia Louis Dreyfus and David Duchovny, they had a different standpoint. They tried to play the whole, hey, I'm down with the culture. And you can see this as maybe them trying to be similar. Now, being similar matters when you actually don't have an intent of a relationship. So let's say you just have a coworker or someone you're just around socially, and you may not have the intent to say, hey, I want to be with this girl, I want to be with this guy. But if you're similar, by default, you might get closer because you might say, hey, you like that music group? Or hey, you like this type of hobby activity, this band, whatever it is. So you can see how you can get closer. So that's when it may be more beneficial if there's no actual intent and you just get closer through the fact that you have similar or common interests. But when they say you actually want to lead to an intimate relationship, the self expansion model may make more sense because you're saying, okay, if I want to be with this person, what sense does it make to get with them if I already know what I bring and what I have? Because if you're going into a union, a bond, some people say it's almost like a business deal. And I agree with that. Obviously, love is great and all, but you want to make sure as a family, as a unit, if you have children, all these things have to be in line and they have to expand on where to be resources. So financial gain, social status, or even if it's something like the things they're interested in, can they teach my children, can teach me to be better in what I'm trying to do? So in this movie, you see there was some similarities because Jonah Hill liked the culture. And there was a lot of discrepancies about, people embracing black culture, but all in all, he was big on it. He had a podcast about it. So he can maybe be similar in that regard. But all in all, they were different in a lot of ways. He was in the finance world. He was business oriented, but he wanted to be a creative while she was a creative, trying to find her way. So you can see how there was a lot of similarities and there was a lot of differences, but they kind of facilitated each other, you think? Because if he's in the finance world, he could help her learn the business side of things. And she's a creative with her art, but she can help him with, formulating a more of a brand in the creative spaces. Granted, he has a talk show, so that's a little bit different, but it's still being creator content and pushing it. So they had different skill sets. And obviously she being black, she can give more value to his podcast because granted, he likes the culture, he absorbs it, but he's doing it from outsider looking in. So he can't fully talk on that. And his co-host obviously can, but she has her own views and she made them quite clear throughout the movie. But having a partner that you can relate to, that you can actually get advice from the perspective. So when you think about it from that standpoint, this relationship actually could have worked, I think. But people were so caught up on the aesthetic of it. I get it. Jonah Hill does not look like someone Lauren London would date in real life, but their characters, that's what we're looking at. It's a movie. Their characters were supposed to look beyond that. Now, you can argue the influence of their parents on both sides. With Eddie Murphy and Nia Long, they were more militant and like, hey, what does this man know about black culture? While on the other side, they were more open, but the problem was they were kind of patronizing and belittling the culture. Even if it was unintentional, you're making and reducing a culture to different stereotypes, and that's not good. Even good stereotypes are bad because it kind of pigeonholes someone to only being one thing. So, all in all, this could have made sense and could have worked. It's just the fact that the movie didn't really play on those differences and similarities to the strengths. And like I said, self-extension theory, this model can explain a lot how we can utilize our differences to become better in a relationship. I think about that in my relationships because I know I don't know and I can't do everything. Doesn't mean I purposely search for someone with the deficits I have. No. But if they have those and I'm intentionally searching, guess what? I'm going to be like, hey, this can benefit me and vice versa. What can I do to benefit them? Because it's like a team, right? And in sports, I work with a lot of athletes and teams. You got to have a balance. Everyone can't be good shooters. Everyone can't be good defenders. It has to be a mix. Some people are going to be better at different skill sets. I think that's a lot what we get wrong in modern dating is that we look for too much of similarities. Yes, you need some common interests. Now, race can affect that, of course, definitely. Different cultures in general. It doesn't even have to be a race thing because you could be black and someone be from Africa or the islands, or you could be white, someone from Russia, Poland. So differences are part of life. So it's just a matter of, I guess, fitting them into the relationship and making it make sense. So overall, as a movie, it was okay. It had some funny moments. I wish they utilized Eddie Murphy a little bit more. Mike Epps was pretty good in a few scenes he was in. Also, David Duchovny, he was funny. All in all, I think it could have made sense. So let me know in the comments below. Do you think they could have made sense as a couple in real life? Give me your opinions, your thoughts. And as always, thanks for letting me break it down and get your mind right.